There is one thing that will make you grow as a creator more than anything, and that one thing is conflict. Now, if you think about it, there's only one main reason. There's two, actually, reasons why we watch television and movies. I mean, if you're a nerd like me, there's probably a few more, like you're obsessed with cinematography and sound design and stuff. But in terms of narrative, and the reason why we actually are drawn into story is because characters go through conflict, right? Now, the other main reason is that they change, okay? These are the two main reasons that we actually love to consume stories and have for thousands of years, right? And what if you were that character, okay? What if you applied these story concepts to your life a little bit as a creator? That's what we're going to dive into in this video. Hey creators, Aimon here, and I help creators find purpose and profit. So yeah, as discussed, this is what we're talking about is conflict. Now, this is something that I've really been focusing on in the last few years of my life because like on your day-to-day basis, you're going through a lot of conflict. Most of it is interpersonal conflict, okay, if you really think about it. Sure, you might have a problem like yesterday at the gym, I kicked my toe and I maybe have broken and it hurts a lot. I had to ice it this morning, okay? That's a little bit of conflict and there's stuff that I can do about it, right? But it's not necessarily conflict that I'm going to lean into. I'll ice pack it a little bit more, right? But it's not like a major conflict. Most of those conflicts are interpersonal conflicts, okay? And a lot of this generation and just human beings as well, they're afraid of this conflict. They kind of lean out of this conflict. But if you think about movies and heroes in movies, this is where the hero actually steps up. They go, oh, there's a conflict. Oh my God, my dad is a like evil human being trying to rule the galaxy. And I'm like a young kid with the Force and I have to overtake him. It's like interpersonal conflict on a large scale. And he could be like, no, I'm just going to chill on this little planet and hang out. But instead, he's like, no, I'm going to overcome this conflict and lean into the conflict. And that is why I'm discussing this, because I've really been focused on that kind of that topic in the last few years. I have had some interpersonal conflict in the last few years, and it has made me grow an insane amount as a human being and by association as a creator, right? And that's why it's just the most valuable thing ever to actually identify them as soon as they happen. And then when you have identified them, lean into that thing as much as you can, right? Because again, you are the hero of your own story. And that's not to like lean into that in an egotistical kind of sense. But if you can lean into it in the sense that, you know, if you are the hero of your story and you want to change, then what's the best way to go about that is to actually just lean into the conflict portion. I've discussed Dan Harmon's story circle on the channel before, and that story circle kind of has 8 parts to it. But the main portion of that story circle where characters do change is the part where they are adapting to a new situation, right? They want something, and then they have to go through the story circle. The main portion of where that inside change comes from is when they're adapting to this change, right? And so you adapting to the change of interpersonal conflict, whether it's at your work, with your partner, with your friends, with your family, whatever it may be, is to lean into that conflict and how you're going to lean into that conflict, right? And the quicker that you can actually resolve that conflict, then the more you prove to yourself how easy it is for you to overcome that conflict, the more you prove to yourself that you are capable of doing those things. And like a big example of this is like last year, I did a 20-day hike in Europe, right? You can check out the full documentary that I made on this channel if you like. But that was brutal and like terrifying and the hardest thing that I've ever done, right? But before that, I had no idea that I could do such a thing. And then after that, it was very clear to me that I could do anything, okay? And that was, I guess, a sort of conflict. I was a hero that had to overcome this journey, right? If you want to put it that way. But there's so many other versions of conflict. And when you do those things, all these little things that prove to yourself, leaning into hard things, such as conflict. Every time you want to do an ice bath, and this is why these like self-development tools are so popular these days. Everyone's like, oh, do an ice bath because of, it's going to make you a man or whatever. And it's like, yeah, what it actually is you proving to yourself that you can overcome conflict, that you can do the hard thing. And the more you can do that, the more resilient you'll become. And you have to be resilient if you're a creator. I don't know if you noticed this, my dude, but it's brutal out here. You get beaten down nonstop, and it's mostly by yourself, really. You just put out videos after videos, or you're talking to clients after clients over and over again. You just keep trying the thing. And it's so easy to give up. And you know how I know? Because I've given up like 50 times, okay? I've changed niches like 50 times. And if I could go back and slap myself from 10 years ago and just commit to one thing, I would be in an insane position right now. And don't get me wrong, I'm doing well for myself, okay? But and partly it's because I have failed so much. But if I pick myself up much quicker after all these small failings, as opposed to letting them just get me down, get beaten down for months, stay beaten down until finally I have a different idea and I try that idea. If I reduce that gap every single time I failed over the last 10, 12 years, I would be that much more successful, okay? And successful is a whole different conversation in terms of what do you perceive as success, you know? Because I perceive where I'm at based on all these failings in terms of from a self-development sense as successful, right? But again, I wouldn't be here if I hadn't done all of those things. So this is why I guess making this video, if I found this 10 years ago, then I would focus more on leaning into conflict because, the more you can shorten that gap between like receiving conflict and then overcoming that conflict, figuring out how to communicate your way through that conflict. It's going to make you a better human being, and it's going to make you more resilient, and it's going to make you much more motivated to just crush your content creation journey or your creative business journey, right? They're the main two people that I see commenting on my videos. Someone that, is running a media business or running a real estate media business, such as myself for the last 5 years, or people that are just trying to be creators and create content. And it's a really tough journey. You know why? Because everybody wants to do this, right? But arguably, this is one of the biggest self-development tools, regardless of whatever happens, whatever actually becomes of it, right? And that's why I'm just so focused on conflict, because the other part of it is that conflict really triggers your ego. And the more you can be a master of your own ego, the more easy everything becomes, because that's the biggest thing that's actually holding you back from where you want to go as a creator is your own ego, right? And it pops up these limiting beliefs in front of you that I was kind of talking about before. You can't do this. You're not good enough. Why are you doing this? You don't have enough value that you're actually putting out. Who's going to watch this? Like, what if people see this and judge you? Like, all these things aren't actually real. They're just barriers that your ego puts in front of you to stop you from doing something, because it's like essentially self-sabotaging. It's keeping you comfortable where you are, right? But if you can see that none of these things are real, and you can actually just overcome them by stepping over them or realizing that they're just thoughts that your mind has thrown into you to try and keep you safe, right? And again, the better you come at overcoming conflict, the easier that portion is going to be, right? And it's a journey that never ends, my guy, okay? And maybe you didn't expect to click on this video and get so philosophical, but this is creative philosophy, okay? We talk about these things, right? Because it's really important as a creator to know yourself and to dive deep and really become grounded in your values and question who you are. And that's part of this whole journey. I am like almost solely on the content creation journey because it's a self-development journey. And every time I come over one of these barriers, I become more committed because I'm like, I see. Here's another thing that's trying to stop me from doing the thing that I want. Resistance, right? The more you can overcome this resistance, overcome this conflict, the more you're going to become more grounded in your values, more yourself, more on the path that you need to be on. And the more easy it's going to be to make a digital product that aligns with your values, sell that digital product, and make a bunch of money as a creator. You know how I know? Because I've done it in the last year, right? Or the more easy it's going to be to run a $500,000 per year media company with 3 employees, right? Again, I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that because that's the situation that I'm in. And I wouldn't be where I'm at right now if I hadn't been so focused on overcoming conflict, or if I hadn't gone through so much conflict. So the quicker you can get to just close that gap, the easier it's going to be. So hopefully you've gotten some value out of this video. Hopefully you've gotten deep with me. And if there's anything I've missed that you think is relevant, then feel free to pop it in the description. In the comments. There's also, free Dream Creative Life course in the description. If you've made it this far, congrats. I know that 80% of you aren't subscribed, possibly 90%. So definitely jump on and do that if you like. And more videos like this coming soon. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.